Okay, Cable and Broadband Internet Commission is now come to order. I'm Rob Capone.
Jeff Abrams.
Gary Lau.
Suzanne Woodland, Deputy City Manager and Regulatory Counsel.
And special guest Stephanie Secord, Public Information Officer.
And then remotely, we also have Luis Rodriguez and Ash Chicory. You guys hear us okay?
Okay.
Margo.
Yes, sorry, it took me a second to unmute there. Yes, I hear you guys very well. Thank you for having me remotely.
Good attendee and keeping your mic muted. So, all right. Let's see, I guess second item on the agenda, the approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from last meeting, which was April 2nd?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay, motion approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Okay,
Hi.
Good. We got
thumbs up.
thumbs
You're
up there.
good, Ash, too. All right.
Good thumbs up. It's wiggling
Okay.
around.
Okay, so next, I don't know, did you guys get a chance, Ash and Lewis, to take a look at the cell survey?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought, I don't know, I'm interested in what you guys have to say. But I thought it was fine. I didn't have anything particular to say just yet.
Okay.
Oh, Ash, you're on mute.
Yeah, you're muted, Ash. Tell you what, you guys
Oh,
feel
cool.
free to not mute. I mean, there's not that many people and unless you have something else in the background that.
No, so I'm gonna just a question. So I look at the list, it does provide a list of the neighborhoods. So Suzanne, from your PDF, you listed some of the neighborhoods, I guess, right? So, but then when I looked at the questionnaire, I just noticed, for example, my neighborhood wasn't listed. So is that, just a question, is that normal or? It was on the map that said, that showed, Woodlands.
But I think, are you,
Woodlands on here, but we could add it. This is part of the conversation.
Right. No, that's right. Just why I was asking.
It
That's all.
says Woodlands.
Yeah.
Last one on the right, bottom.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yep, there it is.
Oh, wait.
Like sky
well,
blue.
no, it's
Sky blue.
well, I think he's talking about the map.
That-
We actually also have, yeah, you can't see it.
Yeah,
we have
I see.
a map, but I think he's talking about the actual pick list.
Questionnaire.
I think it would make sense to put the Woodlands on the pick list.
I agree, only because I think the Woodlands reaches in pretty deep into the that area, well off of Route 1 as well as off of the Elwyn Road. So it would,
Right.
at the very least, acknowledge that
Yeah.
is cell coverage good or not good or whatever.
Yeah, and they tend to self-identify as the Woodlands.
True.
Right.
They'd be looking for them,
Yep.
for their little hood,
Yep.
so to speak.
Correct.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you saw in terms of the neighborhoods then in particular, because that's the
So-
kind of thing.
So Rob, for Elwyn,
Yep.
which one would you see, in the questionnaire that would pertain to Elwyn?
I was actually just looking because I know I scanned it real quick and I remember, but now
'Cause I
there's-
don't see it in the question. That's why I was like, maybe another one we could add.
Maybe we put Elwyn Park and Road
Correct.
cover.
right, or either or. I guess I don't want to get too granular, but at the same time, Elwyn Road is because you're right there on the road. We
Right.
might have really good coverage there, but further in may
Right.
not be necessarily, I don't know. Thoughts?
I have
Being too
no idea.
granular? I mean, everybody likes to think they're important.
I have no idea.
We could make them separate as Elwyn Park and then Elwyn Road. Let me look at your little map.
So, for example, so a good example is, so Rob, Grant Ave, right, in Elwyn?
Sorry, new or
So-
what?
Grant Ave.
Yes.
So I know people on Grant Ave, and they have they don't have really good coverage at all, and they use Verizon. That's why I was thinking maybe differentiate that.
Right. Yep.
Like there's Grant, there's Hoover on the other side.
Did we still, the other option is if we give them an opportunity somewhere, if they want to disclose their actual address, do we give them that option? Because some people might
I
not
think,
care.
I think yes, when you click on the form, when you click on other, a box pops up. Then you can actually enter some characters in that box.
Okay.
So,
And yes, we do have an address option. And to this point, I thought it would be useful to have
Yep,
your street address. Although,
if they want to, I'd make
Right.
it,
and some of this is, it's the question of living, working, and where are you that you're, if you have issues, where do you have issues?
Yeah.
So that's almost more important than what neighborhood you live in.
Absolutely, yeah. I think
Yeah.
That's absolutely key.
So maybe we move the neighborhood list, the location list to after the service problems question. And then have a place at the end asking for your physical address if you want to provide it, so we can cross-reference some of the answers to those addresses. But the question is really where you have what location do you have service issues in, which I will not phrase that way.
Right. Yeah, no, but I think also now that I'm thinking about it too, as you're talking this too, is that maybe having that where you live further in the survey
we
also
can do that.
encourage people that are outside, because really technically, even though we are serving the residents, we really would like to get information regardless of, be completely agnostic as far as where you're from. So maybe by having that question early, you might potentially might turn people off and be like, well, this doesn't really apply to me because, between City of Portsmouth and I don't live here. And they may not even, dive any deeper to answer. So-
Yeah, I
Well,
think we
yeah.
talked about this at the last meeting, that we put this, the more get you by the hook questions first, which is, how's your service?
Right. Yep.
And then put the more demographic stuff towards the back end.
Yeah.
And just to put all of this in context, the list we're using to send this out is the city newsletter list, 6,000-ish people.
Yep.
And all of those people aren't residents. There are lots of people who get the newsletter who are just interested.
Right. And we were also thinking potentially too, that we could also, if we're looking to open up things, set up a QR code that points to the individual page. So that way, again, that generating a QR code is super easy if you know where to go.
Yep.
So, and I'm sure Stephanie, like she's nodding, she knows, but it'd be super easy for us to set something like that up so at a later date, so we could even go to the point where we initially open this up for Portsmouth, and then sort of at that point later on post. But it was Lewis's idea that maybe what we do is we provide, flyers at some of the businesses downtown, just to try to get people, because if you can get people right there when they're at the point of service, they got, maybe have their wallet or their cell phone in hand, if we can get them, boom, right there. If we keep the survey being not, totally long, may encourage people to like do it right there.
Right. And to your last point, once we do an initial survey through the newsletter with all of these questions, you'll see whether you're getting the information you want and what are the high priority questions that's the one we do the QR code.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say to that point, because I talked to Sean Clancy and I shared with this committee last time that he has the ability to push stuff out to the businesses. So if we push this survey out first, as you say, measure kind of, are we capturing what we hope to capture?
Mhm.
We then draft something more specific that Sean could push out to the businesses, which maybe is, here's, if you're interested in participating, here's a QR code, you could print it off, put it at your register or some point or lobby area.
They're having problems.
Oh,
Well,
well, just to have
We have
have
clients.
folks,
They're
right,
visible.
visible. So that folks could, for the next 2 weeks, report in.
Hmm.
So, that,
Would they?
well, that's, the beauty is we'll get some
Again, we'll
information.
See, yeah.
And if the businesses don't want to do it, fine, but It will just be,
inexpensive postcards so that people could either take it or do it right there.
Yeah.
And that gives the business something to just. pop
yeah,
up on the
like we
counter.
care. Yeah.
Right.
So maybe launch this first, measure, and then decide how we reach out to the businesses.
Yep. Now Jeff brought up a really good point too, that even though he has his cell service through Comcast, and even though Comcast is not a provider, I think sometimes still wouldn't be a
Tell
bad
us
idea.
information.
While they're actually, let me rephrase that. They are a provider, but they don't own the infrastructure. But
Right.
either way, Jeff identifies them as his carrier. So I
So that
think
should be on the list.
exactly, if you don't mind adding that to the list, it's a very good point.
Yay.
And we'll see what else. And again, we'll see what else there may be. Again, I don't shop around for cell phone service. I'm happy with who I have, and I'm also pretty easygoing. So at least about that. So there may be other carriers too, like, Cricket or other things that we don't hear about that,
That aren't enough to.
yeah, that aren't enough to catch anything, but maybe again, they'll get caught with the other.
Yep. In terms of listing that, would you go Comcast/Xfinity or Xfinity Comcast? How are they branding themselves? Do you
Pull them up.
Yeah, how are they?
know? Because they're
Xfinity.
one.
Infinity.
Okay, so,
If I get my
so
bill.
when you do the list, put
Okay.
Xfinity will be after US Cellular, and in parentheses, you can put Comcast, because depending on
Right.
how they're
Yeah.
marketing or how people associate with it.
Yeah, they call it Xfinity Voice, basically, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so if we move some of the, where do you live, are you Portsmouth resident and where do you live as the kind of demographic stuff? What do you think we should start with? Which question?
I have some ideas. Sorry, I'm multitasking on my phone, so pulling the things up while I'm looking. So yeah, I think that I do agree with putting the sort of more specific home location information somewhere deeper into the questionnaire. Jesus, it's very hard to navigate. Zoom does not like me moving into different screens. But basically, yeah, this isn't gonna work. Okay.
Like, pull it up on the screen. We might be able to
That
pull it.
might help. That would be beautiful.
We do that.
Drive.
Okay, is it already plugged in? Okay, here,
But
if you got it quickly, I'll get out of this chair and go to the next one. That way
you can stay in your chair.
navigate.
Okay.
Here's the one. Yeah. You having any problem? If not, they'll ignore the whole thing. If they are, it'll motivate them to go further.
Right.
Oh, here's somebody that could do something about these phone calls dropping out of the time.
Okay, I was able to get it pulled up. Sorry, this just finally was able to let me out. So I would say so. Yeah, pretty much moving. So after, do you currently reside in Portsmouth? Then we started asking about it. So if we took that section out and moved it to. It could be near like the landline phone option. Well, actually, no, hold on, sorry.
I kind of think it's, have you experienced any service problems with your cell phone provider? I
Yeah.
think that's the hook.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Right.
Okay, so
That
then-
gets them interested to do something more.
Then the what problems do you have? And then you got the where. Then it seems logical, because you've asked where, you could then find home,
Yep.
so then it's logical to say, oh, where do you live? Or if you're a Portsmouth. So then you could reside in Portsmouth. Or maybe you just put, do you live in Portsmouth, just to tie that.
Yeah, so the
language.
Seattle people don't continue.
Want to make
Maybe if they're.
live, work, visit
Where you
an
stand.
option, list instead of, do you live here? Yes, no. Do
Right.
you work here? Yes, no. Is there use for that information when we cross-reference or one?
Right.
Yeah, I guess you could make that a multiple checklist. They can, do you live in Portsmouth? Check. Underneath that, do you work, check all that apply. Do you live in
Right.
Portsmouth? Do you work in Portsmouth?
There's a lot of people in all these new hotels who are having problems too.
Right.
Where's your hotel that you're having problems in? That's,
Yeah.
or the
So-
transient, or the transient person.
So in the question that's currently in what neighborhoods you live, it's more where do you experience problems? That's what you
Yeah.
really want to know.
Well, isn't there an at home or at work or?
Yeah, so then, I mean, that's a generic, and then the follow-up to that is logically which specific areas are
Yep,
problem.
Yep.
So that becomes question. If homework traveling through Portsmouth is number 3, then specific geography is 4. 5 becomes which of the following live, work, visit. That check all that
No.
apply.
Yeah. Well, 3 should be at which locations do you typically experience problems?
Yep.
Check all that apply
Right.
in 3.
Yeah, and then do you care? If you make that check all that apply, then we don't need another question that says, do you live here? Do you work here? That is what
Right.
that question says.
I think the one, just there is a, maybe wondering about this, and again, pound me down if I'm not hitting the mark here, but I think one of the reasons we were asking about location of where you lived was only because one of the things we were thinking is that a lot of times people are now using their cell phone as their primary point. They don't have a landline anymore. And being able to have a pick list there means we definitely have some discrete information that we can easily grab and collate versus if they write in where they're having this issue, then at that point it becomes analog, which we're going to have more difficulty correlating where the problem is.
Agree.
And that was all.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
That's right.
What I was trying to get at was we should get like the neighborhoods selection near that question about do you have a landline? And that was going to be another edit that I was going to mention was I wanted to sort of specify like, do you have a landline as your only phone or as your phone solution at home? Or you know what I mean? It just kind of maybe add a little more specificity to that question, but next to that, put what neighborhoods they're from so that we can, I don't know, I thought that those two questions kind of, to Rob's point, that's sort of what we're looking at is to identify if people are relying solely on their cellular as their form of communication in their home, and then maybe get some easily filterable data on the locations and what their experiences are.
So we're asking, I think, 2 specific geography questions. One is the landline related one, and then there's the location question that applies to visitors or people who work here. And that isn't neighborhoods.
So
So sort of-
keep in mind, this is the first survey going out mostly, not exclusively to residents,
Right.
because it's going through the email
Yep.
Newsletter.
list.
Right.
So I'm thinking it's most important to gather the home data, because we're gonna do hopefully with more informed thoughts
point.
about all the transient people
Yeah.
through the second, hopefully, reach. So I
Thank
think
you.
logically, when I look at this, at which locations do you typically experience problems? Check all that apply.
Mhm.
The next question I think is the home
Mhm.
is almost,
Yeah.
somehow we've got to go to, okay, where's home,
Right.
and if you'd like to share where's work, or is work in Portsmouth, or.
So
I don't know,
So the-
that's where my brain is going. We've just asked, where do you have problems?
Right.
giving you the home option.
Yeah,
Next question is, where's home? Pick one of these
Where's home?
neighborhoods.
yeah.
And then the question after that is, do
Where's
you
work?
have a landline? I think the next question is,
Oh,
do you
yeah.
have a landline?
Yes, right, yeah.
And then they've told us already about work, and maybe we don't ask work or visit. Maybe
Right.
we don't ask that
No.
yet,
I don't think so.
because I think I
We
think
already have
one
it
list of
in-
geography is good.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
I think it's because we use the word home, what neighborhood is home for you?
Yeah.
And then you've
Nice.
got that nice list,
Yeah.
Mhm.
then the landline.
Yep.
And then I think we have do you have any other comments for the commission?
What
And
do
if
we
you'd
care
like,
about the landline?
in case that's the only phone that, are they
We don't
using their
know.
cell phone?
Right. But like, just because they have a landline doesn't necessarily mean that they're using it, because maybe with the cell phone, you can carry it all around the house, whereas potentially, even if you have a cordless phone, you do have a battery issue.
I'm
there.
just wondering if we're worried about whether they're having problems with their landline.
No, we aren't. I think it's just knowing that some people don't have a landline and are only using their cell
Yeah,
phone.
yeah.
So consequently, it heightens the
Yeah.
Exactly.
reliability.
I think, yeah, and if anything, we can also, if we can get numbers, a percentage
It
to
gets
say
big
to,
deal.
right, as well as using it as potential
Leverage to get.
leverage. I didn't want to say leverage, but say, but yeah, just bringing up the point that, hey, there aren't a lot of people that are, because again, a lot of times you don't necessarily have the same carrier for both your cell and for your landline. Sometimes you do,
Right.
but sometimes you don't. So they may not even know.
So where do you want the question about who is your provider and how well
great.
do they do? Is that right before the end? If the end is, do you have any other comments? Or is that right after the problems question?
Who's customer
Oh,
service?
good.
It should be right after the problems, because since the different carriers use different equipment.
Well, if they're filling in the survey and they realize that you're working with the carrier to fix it, they'll throw down Comcast or whatever they're using. Or likely to. And leave it in the back of the survey,
Right.
get lost.
Yeah.
I'm having a problem with Verizon.
Right. So the which carrier
Oh,
question
address,
becomes
right.
number 4.
Yeah,
Okay.
right after what problems?
And then it goes to, if you're a Portsmouth resident, which neighborhood do you call home? And do you have a landline?
Yep.
And where you say home, work, whatever, immediately after they check it,
Simple.
put the address right after that. Check mark,
Yeah.
If they want to provide it, yeah.
yeah, address optional,
Yeah,
Yep,
but it's right there. They've said
Yep.
it's home and here's where it is.
Yep.
Rather than another question. Down the line.
okay. I think I have all that.
all right. When we say work, do we want to say Portsmouth?
Work if not home.
Well, I think what Suzanne is all saying, like, okay, even though we are soliciting information from people who are not living in Portsmouth,
Right.
we can't have anything, we really can't help them if they're having an issue, even if something as simple as Newington.
Right.
So,
So the question that's, I think, number 4 is, at which Portsmouth locations do you typically experience problems?
Yes.
Home, work.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
well put, Stephanie.
yes, I know.
that's the,
Thank you. Yes, you're just saying, well put, like, it's obviously like, yeah, you've
And
done
maybe
this
I
before.
italicized Portsmouth, so they realize, oh, it's only for that.
Right. Yeah, because we know that that's what we're asking,
yeah,
but
Right.
And they say, well, when I'm in Raleigh,
yep. Okay, so I've got now, first question is, have you experienced any service problems with your cell phone provider? what problems have you experienced is number 2.
Right.
Then is number 3 gonna be the at which Portsmouth locations, or do you want the carrier first?
We said
That's what I'm checking.
right after problems, yeah.
You might be,
So carrier is number 3, which carrier? Okay. That
Might be-
makes sense.
you might be able to combine question 1 and 2 if you just put check marks across with the different problems across the top. I don't know.
Okay, and then number 4 is going to be, at which Portsmouth locations do you typically experience problems? Check all that apply. Then the 5th one is, if you're a Portsmouth resident, which neighborhood do you call home? And finally, do you have a landline? Or is your mobile phone your only phone? They'll get why
Yeah,
we're
that's good.
asking when we
Right,
phrase it,
right.
kind of like that.
Yes.
That's good.
And then they've got the opportunity to add anything else they want. Louis, how's that sound? Oh, kid duty.
First to Louis.
Sorry, I'm here. Take a second. Yeah, no, I mean, that sounds good. I think you guys are organizing it where it makes logistical sense.
So what we could do in lieu of another meeting is Stephanie could work on cleaning this up. And then maybe if she sends it to Louis and Rob, if you're willing, and
Sure.
you two look at it, and if you two are happy, we'll launch
Sounds good.
without
Okay.
having to have
You
another
guys okay
meeting.
with that?
We understand.
Fine with that.
Sure.
Okay,
Can you?
Ash, you good with that too?
I'm good, yep.
Okay,
Just thinking,
Yeah.
trying to get it out before.
Do that quicker
people
too.
disappear for the summer.
And
That was my thinking.
by your next meeting, we'll have so that we can fine tune
Yeah.
right.
whether we're getting what you need.
Yep,
Okay.
and that will then kind of tee us up for businesses for the summer if we wanted to do something.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds good for me. I think that we got, the hardest part was getting like, what information do we want to get? I think we're pretty sold on that. So I think, yeah, once it's cleaned up, it should be pretty easy to just send it out.
good.
Okay.
Cool.
I did get some response back from the school. And they acknowledge there are places that they know of, within their
Mhm.
facilities that, service can be troubling. I think kind of cognizant of where we are in the school year and that this is gonna go out by email. I'm almost thinking we ship this out, see how it goes. And then maybe we could do something more targeted at the school so we don't kind of overwhelm.
They may just have a lot of steel in the building like Spinnaker Point. When you're in there, it
Right.
doesn't work at all.
Yeah, so I'd like to tease that out a little bit more and maybe it would make sense the next time we meet, maybe I can bring someone from the school here to figure out, is
That'd be
there,
lovely.
particularly if we had initial
Their IT
results,
person.
and talk about,
Sure.
is there anything that we might be able to initiate? And hopefully by then I'll have heard back from carriers.
Yeah.
Having trouble finding the right contact. I've got some communications out.
First.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
it's moving, but not as fast as I would like.
Yep.
Okay.
But since this is kind of there, so that's what I have.
Damn phones.
No, he probably doesn't realize I'm in a meeting.
Yeah, no, I had the same issue.
Okay,
So are we good
Thanks, Stephanie.
with, yes, thank you, Stephanie.
thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see all of you again.
Yeah, come often.
And again, I apologize to everybody that I couldn't do this last time.
Oh.
I
No.
missed in January,
Don't worry.
Ah,
Once is enough.
getting over it
Hopefully, yes,
psychologically, if not physically.
good.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Have a
Have a
nice
good
evening.
night.
Go next door.
Oh,
Oh, geez.
could you tell Peter that I'm in here?
Yes.
And I will be there and I don't need to sit at the table if that's what he's asking.
All right.
What else have we got on the agenda?
So any other business?
Nope.
Nope.
Here, do you have any-
PPM shut down?
I haven't looked recently,
Okay.
so.
All right. I know that I know that we have to kind of keep the meeting shorter than usual even, so if you're okay, we'll keep moving forward.
Sure.
Okay, there's no one here for public, so no public comment. So we're at the point where we schedule the next meeting. So I don't know, anybody? I don't know, how long do you think we actually should have asked them about how long it would take to
Exactly.
deploy?
It shouldn't take her that long to pull it together, so sometime next week.
Okay,
Although we might want to decide whether to wait until after school vacation.
I know that,
Maybe
yeah, I'm
do it-
not gonna be in town next week, so.
Maybe deploy that Monday when everyone's kind of back in their regular,
Fifth,
yeah.
all right, and then how long do we want to let it percolate?
2
2 weeks?
weeks at least.
If
We
you
could
then-
leave it, I could come back and report, after the first 2 weeks. I might be in trial still, the first 2 weeks in June.
Okay,
So if we did something at the end of May,
yep,
that might be safer.
I assume Wednesdays work for you guys, I mean, that,
Mhm.
everybody here?
Fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, good for me.
So far, so good.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Under- So I guess either we want to do the 21st or the 28th.
Something will go wrong. So how about the 28th?
Let's do
28th.
21st.
Yeah.
Might be away, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
Alright.
same. I'm not available on the 21st.
all right, makes it easy then.
I don't know. I'm having my left eye cut open and a new lens put in that day, so I might not be able to, I could do it on Zoom with my right eye, but I may not be driving
Okay,
or
well, yeah,
walking.
exactly, yeah,
So,
all right.
sure, we'll do it.
Even just listen.
I'll get you one way or the other. Yeah.
Well, and if you can't make it, like, we will have.
Then I'll be able to see you,
We'll make
Rob.
sure to we'll make sure to fill you in, but yeah, take care of the health first.
It's already on the schedule,
All right,
So 28th at 5.
miracle wise.
I have, there's a budget work session that night at 6, so it'd just be good for
all right,
to
yeah,
kind
can
of
we,
spot by 6.
all right, so can we start at 5 even rather than
Mhm,
5?
Yep, I'm good.
It's good.
And they may want us to just move, because sometimes the city council meets here before they
Yep,
go into
okay.
the work
Sure
session,
they
so
do.
we might be somewhere else, but
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll figure that out.
Table meeting.
all right,
I'll have Barbara send out the,
yep, okay,
28th, right?
28th, okay. All right,
okay,
Send it out.
okay, so yes, motion adjourned,
Second.
all right, all in favor?
Right.
Those you get, yep. All right,
stuff.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
you.
Thanks, Louis.
Shift here.
Have a
All
good
right.
night.
Stop recording.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Oh, there it is. Bloop.